Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Premier. This April, our province will mark the 30-year anniversary of a decision that continues to impact every Nova Scotian in this province. That's right. It's the decision by a previous PC government to privatize Nova Scotia Power. Since then, Emera has made billions in profits, and Nova Scotians, plagued by rising power bills, poor service, and an unreliable grid, watch as executives rack up millions in bonuses. Mr. Speaker, does the Premier feel that his predecessor made a prudent, well-informed decision to sell off our power utility?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll answer on behalf of the Minister of Energy. The member may not be aware, but the largest power rate spike we saw in this history was in a brief window of time when the NDP government power rates went up 25%. But I will assure the member that we on this side of the House understand the importance of protecting ratepayers, and we will do exactly that.
The Honourable Member for Dartmouth South.
Thank you, but I was asking about the decision to sell Nova Scotia Power and whether it was well informed. When it comes to dealing with Nova Scotia Power and its recent application to raise power rates and impose fees that would decimate the solar industry, and I'll table that, the Premier said, quote, no option is off the table, unquote. So I take his comments at face value, but asked directly about returning Nova Scotia Power to public ownership, the Premier said he would, quote, run some numbers, and I'll table that. This is exactly what was not done in 1992, when there was no analysis done at all to justify the decision to sell Nova Scotia Power for a pittance. So, Mr. Speaker, my question to the Premier is, will he make good on his word and commit to table a study that outlines the costs and benefits of returning all or part of Nova Scotia Power to public ownership?
Before I recognize the Premier, I'm going to ask that the word "he" not be used, that it will the Premier or wherever the question is intended.
Thank you,
the Honourable
Premier.
Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the concern over rates in the province and speaking about an analysis of the numbers. I wonder if the former NDP government did an analysis when they saw rates go from 12 cents a kilowatt hour up to 15 cents a kilowatt hour. I will assure Nova Scotians.
Order, please. The Premier has the floor.
I will assure Nova Scotians that our primary.
Order, please. Once everybody calms down, we'll recognize the Premier has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I assure the member that we are constantly running numbers and putting forward what we can do for Nova Scotians. And people saw that. The analysis of the numbers and the analysis, the art of what is possible. They saw in a budget yesterday with over $13 billion of investments on behalf of Nova Scotia.